Welcome to Escape Games, taking virtual gaming into the real world. My name is Nicole, and I'll be moderating your panel. First of all, we wanted to express our appreciation for everyone involved in PAX. We wanted to express our thanks to all of the enforcers who've been doing all the line corralling and the organization, helping us with audio and lighting and all of that sort. We'd like to thank Karen of Premises Studios for filming this. This will be on YouTube in case you guys decide to, doze off. You can always watch it later. Thanks to Tina, as well as Guthrie, for helping us with logistics and holding up a sign that says STFU just in case if we speak for too long. And then, of course, thank you guys for coming. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. Thanks for your support. Escape games are a pretty relatively new industry, and we're excited to be here to share our stories, our mishaps, and hopefully our future ideas with you. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists, starting with this lovely man on the right, my right.
How you doing? Audrey Cham from Amazing Escape in Arlington. I'm one of the co-owners there. Thanks for coming.
Chu, tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us how you got here.
I played an escape game in Canada about 2 years ago, and I was just captivated by the game. It was my first experience. I didn't know what to expect. It blew me away, and then it eventually developed into my own business.
Awesome, thanks, Chu. Do you want to tell us a little about your background?
Absolutely, thanks. So, I've been doing IT consulting for many, many years, say 15 or so. It's been my bread and butter, and it's allowed me to build and start up an escape game company.
Hello.
Hi guys, I'm Jason from Tribology Boston. What's going on, guys? Really stoked about being here at PAX, so thanks so much for coming out. This is definitely more people than we thought we'd get. We were anticipating like 15 people, and we're going to do like a round table. It's going to be lots of fun, but no, this will be awesome too. Yeah, Tribology's been around for about 2 years. My background is finance, accounting. I've been everything from an auditor to the photographer, a commercial pilot. A couple years ago, we played an escape room with some friends, had an awesome time, and realized there really weren't that many in the United States, and there was so much more that we could do with it. So we kind of developed it from there and started Tribology Boston, downtown Boston, and we're having an awesome time with it. And growing and expanding, adding more rooms. So yeah, no, it's been a roller coaster, but it's been a ton of fun.
I'm Jeff Moyer. I'm the owner and chief joy instigator of Room Escapers in downtown Boston. Much similar to these guys, just kind of started hearing about escape rooms popping up, loved the concept, really went along a lot of lines of what I loved, but prior to that, I was pretty much just a ski bum. I like to consider myself a liver of life at the time, kind of just having some fun, then fell into escape rooms, and here I am today.
Hi, I'm Audrey Cham, the owner of Curious Escape Rooms in Fitchburg, Mass. Woohoo! And I used to be a set decorator in the film and TV industry, and then I went into res counseling for a home for at-risk girls. And can you hear me? Okay, good. That's all I have to say, actually.
Hello. Yeah. So I'm Saul Gordon. I own North Shore Escape in Woburn. Wow, a lot of cheer. That's probably more cheering than Woburn's ever had before. Fantastic. The way I got into owning an escape room is, similar to everybody else. I saw the trend coming. As soon as I played one, I was absolutely hooked. I come from a long gaming history, everything going all the way back. And when I found escape rooms, it was just like, where have these been my whole life? So after playing a lot of them, I saw that I could probably do some of it a little bit better or bring to it a unique perspective. So that's mine.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Ooh. How many people have played an escape room game on the phone? That's how I started. I had not played an escape room in person before I opened my business. I actually started off by locking my family in my basement. I figured that'd be the best way to start it out. Give it a nice trial period, you know. Anything went wrong, you know, it's just my family.
Okay, they love you anyways.
Yes, they do. They do. They're very supportive. I have to thank them. Without their support, I wouldn't be here right now. I started. My background is master carpentry and musician, very much into the arts and gaming. So when I saw the trend of escape rooms coming forward, I wanted to jump on that because I wanted to have as much fun as it seemed like it would be. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun to have. So if you haven't tried an escape room, you definitely want to try an escape room.
All right, so let's get a quick pulse from the audience. Please raise your hand if you have never heard an escape room and you're just here because someone dragged you here. All right, so for these two guys in the back, just wanted to explain to you real quick. An escape room is an experience where you and your friends are locked up for an hour, and your job is to find clues and solve puzzles within that hour in order to get out. Cool. All right, please raise your hand if you've played one escape room. Awesome. Keep your hands raised. Oh, I know, it's a lot of work. Or at least one. All right, please raise your hand if you've played, keep your hand raised if you've played 2. And 5. Keep your hands raised if you've played more than 10. Oh my God.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
And 15. And 18. Oh my gosh. 20. Oh, nice. 25. Can you guys stand up? Oh my gosh. Is it just one?
Just one?
Just one? All right. Nice. How many have you played? 30? Oh, that was my next number. Nice. Awesome. All right, so we are going to kick off with asking each of the panelists a question, and then we're going to open up to Q&A for you guys. So first question goes to Jeff Boyer from Room Escapers. Jeff, what influenced you to open an escape room?
You know, there's many things that, you know, ultimately influenced my decision to open an escape room, but I would really attribute a large portion of that influence to growing up and still, you know, playing RPG video games, stuff like that, you know, beginning with Star Ocean: The Second Story. I don't know if anyone's heard that one back on the PS1, but I kind of use these RPG video games as my escape from reality, you know, escape from all the baloney the real world has to offer. You know, it's real tough being a kid growing up to have to make your bed and mow the lawn once a week, but it was my escape. So when I first heard of the term of escape rooms and, you know, the idea of escape rooms, it really piqued my interest because in my eyes, you know, it was very similar to how I use video games. You know, whenever I heard escape room, I didn't necessarily think escape from a trapped room. I saw it as an escape from reality. So, you know, I saw these as a similar way that I use the virtual worlds that I always explored. So, you know, kind of building on that, what I really like about escape rooms is that you get to take part in these extraordinary missions and these different things that you never get to do as the normal human species. I love this aspect of video games, and I love the fact that you could go in with your friends and family, do this. You know, it brought me a lot of joy going on these missions, doing things. For example, our first theme, you're trying to activate a time machine to travel back to the early 1700s to find a treasure map for a sunken pirate ship that named the Witta. So it's adventures like these, different things like that, just all these things you can do out of the ordinary that just really brought joy to me and my family, and I decided that I just wanted to be the one to create this joy for other people.
Jeff is really big into joy. That's awesome. Thanks, Jeff. The next question goes to Audrey Cham from Curious Escape Rooms. Giving back to the community has always been important to you. Can you discuss how that drove you to start an escape room?
Sure. I grew up in a small gateway city in north central Massachusetts. It's the home of the Fitchburg Art Museum and RC Excitement, where they have a remote control race car track. This is pretty cool. It's also near Searsdale Mall and Cinema World and a Wachusett Mountain and a Tri-Waterfall, and Whalen Park used to be there if anyone ever went there. There you go. And I always wanted to return as an adult to give back to a community that was in need of revitalization, but I didn't know how. So when I was a set decorator in New York, I went to an immersive play called Sleep No More. They take a 3+ story building and transform the entire building into a living, walkable set. So you're actually in the characters' worlds, and you can go through their stuff and look through their things. And I kind of like hope that there was a little bit more intention from the audience members for that like maybe you could find like a backstory or like secret message or something like that. And there really wasn't. So when I went to my first escape room, I was like, this is what I'm looking for. So 1 year, several escape rooms, and a successful Kickstarter campaign later, we opened up Curious Escape Rooms in downtown Fitchburg. And if we want to attract people to our area, we want to make it worth it, especially if they're coming from half an hour away. Like the other owners here, I'm pretty sure we've all designed our own rooms. You can't find it anywhere else. The first time you're going to play it is at our place. And we specifically chose a theme that we hadn't heard anyone else use before. I used my set decorating skills to create an immersive environment and transport you to another world. And we really focus on that puzzle play to get that adrenaline going, that excitement, having tangible puzzles as well as surprise moments and predicting those wow moments. And we hope that after people come and play our game, they'll be pumped and pay patronage to the other businesses in downtown Fitchburg and see what else Fitchburg has to offer.
Fantastic. Thanks, Audrey. Next question goes to Chu Chan from Amaze Escape. Amaze Escape is a prison-themed escape game in real Arlington police jail cells. Tell us about the importance of an immersive experience.
It's very darn important. It's as important as it is in any good video game. In respect to escape rooms, it's the difference between a great room and a mediocre room. As my fellow panelist Saul suggested one time, it's the difference between Pong and Overwatch. It's the difference between a well-designed, well-produced room built with great attention to detail and painstaking efforts versus a basic paper puzzle room that's built with minimum efforts to offer a full experience for the players. Without immersion, you're left with a game of random puzzles with no context, no story, an incomplete product. As an owner, it's all about offering the players a unique and fun group experience. Most players, especially the ones that's played multiple rooms, many of you here, and the better rooms demand an immersive game. It should offer a full experience of sight and sound, mystery and intrigue, wows and surprises, on top of challenging and engaging puzzles. Room themes also help with that immersions. Most, but not all, escape rooms have different themes for each of the games. Our theme's simple. You're in prison, find a way to break out. We are fortunate enough to find and use real jail cells for our game room. The authenticity of the real cells organically immerses the players in a prison break adventure. Another fine example of an immersive escape room is Audrey's dollhouse game. You're shrunk down in size, you and your friends find yourselves solving puzzles to escape from a life-size dollhouse. It's pretty intense. I invite you all to come out and try for yourselves firsthand. Allow one of our many games to immerse you in an adventure. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. The next question goes to Jason Loeb from Tribology Boston. Jason, your team recently partnered up with Chris Evans, or as many of us know, Captain America, and Amaze to produce a pop-up escape game. Give us a behind-the-scenes look of how that went down.
Yeah, so I guess this is a lesson of always answer your phone. I got a call, and this mysterious caller says, hey, can you build us an escape room? And I said, yeah, sure. What are you looking for? And he says, well, there's a celebrity involved who we can't identify, who plays a very well-known movie character that we can't talk about. And he's partnered with a charity, which we can't disclose. And this is going to happen in a time and location to be determined. Oh, and by the way, the people playing it can't know that they're playing an escape room. They have no idea why they're there. It's like, so are you guys interested? I was like, yeah, challenge accepted. So that's how it started. Turns out it was Omaze. So Omaze does some fantastic work in videos. And they partnered with Chris Evans, so it was this Captain America themed experience that they're looking to put together. And I was like, yes. The charity was Christopher's Haven. They're a great organization. They give families a place to stay in Boston when they're in town battling cancer. And it was sort of this perfect marriage. We were looking at the time to do something, to find a way to give back. And this idea of pairing our passion of escape rooms together with a nonprofit just seemed perfect. But like all escape rooms, there's a clock running. And time just, trying to create a pop-up game. This was our first time doing a pop-up game, and trying to create an experience in that period of time was just really, really stressful. Ultimately, when everything got ironed out, we had about 48 hours, and that was from when the crew landed in Boston, that we had to find, scout a location, build a custom-made game, and make it work and get it filmed. And it was, I'd say it was a success. I think after about a week of the video release, it was about 6 or 7 million views. So yeah, we had a really, really good time with it. Hugely challenging. We absolutely loved it. But yeah, trying to get it done in that time frame was definitely a challenge. Trying to get the female staff to stay focused with Chris Evans in the room was a challenge. I think he touched Nicole's arm. I don't think she's washed it since. So stay away. And definitely the hardest part, I think it took him about 2 months to release the video after the whole experience, but with the NDAs up the wazoo that we signed, couldn't tell anybody about it for 2 months. So yeah, we all died a little bit during that period, but absolutely loved it. And that was our first pop-up game. We're doing more, and yeah, we absolutely loved it.
Thanks, Jason. Cool. The next question goes to Michael from Live Action Escapes. You built escape games even before you knew you were going to start your company, which we talked about a little bit with your family in the basement and stuff. It's cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about your initial games? How did that evolve into a company? How your family felt? All that fun stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said in the beginning, without the support of the family, having a startup business like an escape room is just kind of a pipe dream. So I had a lot of support from the family in the beginning, especially now that the company's really working out well. We're located in downtown Worcester. The games came from an overactive childhood imagination. I used to write a lot of stories when I was a kid, so I kind of dug back into my archives of stories and saw some potential for escape rooms. One of the things that we do that's a little bit different as far as the immersive experience is we have an ongoing storyline in one of our games. It's called the Cold Case Investigator series, and we have 2 crime scenes currently out, and in those crime scenes, everyone is handcuffed and chained to the wall during the game. Yes, there's an emergency release chain. You are in control it the whole time, but you have to just eliminate the knowledge of that to keep the immersive feeling. The game has 7 parts to it, and each time you get drawn in for character recognition and storyline. The games don't have to be played in order. They're designed to be completely solvable individually, but with the ongoing story, it becomes a really immersive experience, which is what everyone's really into for an escape room experience. As far as the idea of opening it up before I've experienced an escape room, I did play them online. I'm sure the people who have played them online understand what that's like. Point and click, you get kind of frustrated, you can't find what you need to find, you just point and click everywhere. It doesn't work that way in a real escape room. But we didn't want to start up an escape room with having any influence from the outside world. We wanted to create our own environment and create a completely original and immersive experience, which is what every escape room owner is striving to do. And I think everybody's done a great job because I've played quite a few rooms here, and since then we've played plenty of escape rooms, and I would definitely, looking forward to doing more, definitely doing more.
Awesome. All right. Next question goes to Saul from North Shore Escape. The whole reason why this panel happened is because of your ability to network amongst neighboring escape room owners. Talk to us about why you feel so passionately about collaborating.
Yeah, absolutely. So this industry is a lot different than your run-of-the-mill restaurant business or anything that you would have out there. For instance, if someone would go to your restaurant, there's no reason that you would go to the next door neighbor restaurant and say, hey, let's share customers. It's kind of opposite on how it works in our industry. And trust me, it led to some very interesting conversations like, ring, 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 I totally just put you on a panel at PAX. Have fun. Our first couple meetings kind of just evolved into a whole lot of drinking and talking about escape rooms. So that was kind of the length of our planning for this. But it's something that we're absolutely passionate about. Basically, we all tend to reach out to owners in our area. Everyone has their own different expertise. As Audrey stated, she's got a huge design background. Michael stated that he's a master carpenter, and on and on and on. We have tech experts and across the board. And if anybody starts a business and tells you that they could do it all themselves, they are lying. It's just never going to happen. So I've found by working together as a group, we're able to keep people going to escape rooms in the area, especially my friend back here with the 30 escape rooms. It's, hands up to you for sure. But yeah, I mean, in our industry, the way it works is, yes, you have a set theme, set room, and once you've played that, chances are you're not going to come back for a second taste of it because you've already experienced it. But what you can do is learn about other ones in the area and go, instead of breaking out from a jail this time, you can go back into the past and hunt for pirate treasure. And so that's why I see that working together as a large group, it's really been to our benefit. We're able to keep people interested in the games and coming back for more.
All right, awesome. So at this point, we're going to open up to the dangerous section, which is the Q&A portion. We'd like to hear from you guys about what questions you guys have for our panelists. If you guys have a question, there are 2 microphones in the back. We'd ask you guys to just scoot up. Yeah, don't all run at once. Get on that. Get on that. And go for it. Whoa, there's actual questions. This is so awesome. All right. Hello.
Hi. So I'm an out-of-towner. I'm from Long Island. And you guys have talked about how you guys collaborate together. Do you ever think of collaborating with those in other states?
Sure. The question is, do you as escape room owners ever get to collaborate with places and
So like my closest
locations of people out of
escape room
state?
is like Ronkonkoma. So like, would you guys ever do other? Would you guys ever think to I guess brainstorm or collaborate with the ones down in New York or
Cool.
Any other part of the country?
Cool. She wants to know which one of you guys are going to go to Long Island for her.
Yeah.
Went to school in Long Island. I don't think there's that much. I personally haven't really collaborated with many escape rooms outside of Massachusetts. We definitely, when owners come to our place, we definitely want to rep them and credit them, promote them as much as we can. There are Facebook groups that owners are part of, and they're from nationwide, worldwide, and we will just talk and discuss escape room things on there.
Can I
Yeah, jump
chime
in.
in? Yeah, we do collaborate with other folks in New England, other states, New Hampshire, Maine, I believe, Saul. There's a few rooms that you work with regularly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are interested in learning more about escape rooms in New England as a whole, there is a Facebook group that all of us participate in. We share ideas. We, share announcements about new rooms and stuff like that. It is the Escape Room Enthusiasts of New England group, and that ranges everywhere from Rhode Island all the way to Maine. A lot of times, because we do run our own businesses, and some people on this panel who will remain nameless actually have to go run games tonight. So we don't really have the ability all the time to jump in a car and drive all the way up to central Maine. But from there, you can get a discussion going, find people who are running the games in those areas, and get in touch with them directly.
Michael, come to your basement if you want and set something up for you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You'll come to the basement.
I said you'll set something up in a basement for her if she'd like.
Yeah, we can't do that. I do have a
Provide
history
you on
of
handcuffs,
locking
though.
people in basements, so I can help you out there a little bit.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Should we go that side? We'll go that side.
Cool.
Hi.
Hi. So you guys mentioned that with escape rooms, generally you have one experience that people go through, and then there's not much to do again. You encourage people to go to other spots. But have any of you explored replayability within a particular escape room? So could an experience that could be interesting for someone to go through multiple times?
Sure, that's a great question. The question is there a replayability experience for escape rooms? As in, a player comes, plays a game once, and then comes again, plays it again.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, we have had customers come multiple times. Sometimes they'll finish the game once and they'll say, you know what, don't tell me how this works. I'd love to come back and try it again. In situations like that, absolutely. We haven't developed a game that really is replayable. I think the closest might be Michael. Where he's got sort of one overlying storyline. You can come back multiple times and play another rendition of that story, sort of go from chapter to chapter. But as of right now, I want to say the majority of games are sort of the one-time play only. Once you've played it, you know all the secrets of the room, you've cracked it, and there's really no reason to come back to play that specific game again. With that said, we do have the occasional instance where some guy shows up on blind dates at our place with a different girl every time. So he'll look at us and be like, "Look, just be cool. You don't know me. I promise we don't give any secrets away." So that does happen, but that's basically the extent of our replayability.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Wow, thanks.
Hi.
When designing rooms, how do you determine how much space to allocate and how many players can play?
When designing rooms, how much space, how many players?
I think I could take this one. It's all going to depend on a lot of different things on the business side of it. I don't want to, dig too much into the weeds of the business side, but you can, explore the size of possible spaces that you have, and then everything's going to come down to balance and play testing. If you don't have enough puzzles, you can build more puzzles, but if it's only fun for 1 or 2 players and you have a 10-player room, you're missing out on something. Again, it's a rolling process. I'm willing to bet that my escape room was not the same as it was last week or the week before, because you continually learn and grow from there. As far as utilizing space, I have seen rooms that people just move into a space, build out from there, and I've also seen, full 20,000 square foot warehouses they build modular walls and floors and ceilings and everything in there. It's always going to come down to, budget, space, and then play test over and over and over again until you get a good balance of where you can get new players, enthusiasts, and small groups, large groups. It's a huge balance issue. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
I was just wondering, you said you started in your basement with your family. My friends have run a couple escape rooms at picnics and different stuff with small groups. So we were just wondering how you go from, I guess, hobby style into creating a business, like funding, location, and all that.
That's.
Let me just repeat real quick.
Yeah.
How do you go from hobbyist escape room designer to an actual business in terms of funding and location?
I wouldn't say that I was a hobbyist at that point. I was actually creating my own beta test scenarios. So I started off with the testing factor. My family did get to benefit from that, and the kids seem to have made it out of the scenario no problem, where the adults had a little trouble. So when it comes to going from that scenario to creating this, I mean, as I said before, I'm a master carpenter by trade. So one of the biggest hurdles is finding location and dealing with the logistics of everything, which I don't really want to get into in deep right now. And with that being said, the ability to have something prepared for transition is always a better choice than having a space that you're paying for, and all of a sudden having to crunch time, like the pop-up escape room. That's the very stressful timing.
Yeah.
So it eliminated that stressful timing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. If this is already happening, forgive me, I just haven't heard about it yet. But will you be able to maybe next year have a pop-up escape room here at PAX?
Challenge
Who
accepted.
wants to have a pop-up escape room at PAX?
And could you all work on it together as a collaboration?
I'd love to have PAX.
Sorry, can you say that again?
If you do, could you maybe work together as a collaboration, all of you together?
He wants all of you guys locked in a room together at PAX.
All right. So first of all,
Jason
yes,
says
challenge
yes.
accepted. Second, we had 2 meetings to get this panel together, and just trying to figure out what we're going to say for 1 hour. I think we burned about 6 or 7 hours of time. We are not really productive when we all get together. We're in a unique situation right now where it's not a massive industry in the United States, so when the odd chance that we do get to come together and talk about things and collaborate things, I think we're all over it to share ideas and all that. I wouldn't put it past us to do that for next year, though, so I would say the definite maybe.
Show of hands, would you guys be interested if we created a... Okay, all right. So nobody's interested.
Is that on video?
Nobody's
homework
interested
here.
at all. All right, great.
There is a
Thank
pop-up
you.
game downstairs on the floor. Wicked Escapes has a small challenge, 2-minute
Yeah,
challenge.
Skip's got a 2-minute game going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's booth number 21114, I think it is. And that's going to be a very difficult ability as well, because lines and packs, as you know, are out of control as it is. If you build something that's more than 2 minutes long, everyone's going to be waiting all day. You're going to have to take reservations like the big booths. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely worth discussing, and we'll see if we can come up with
Yeah,
something.
thanks, guys.
Did you have something in mind that would be similar to the Hunt House that's down there? There's a long line for that. Yeah.
Cool.
So I consider myself a pretty strong puzzle solver, and I always get annoyed whenever I get a hint that comes well before I'm ready for it and when I'm not stuck yet. How do you balance the need to make sure people aren't stuck and are still having fun in deciding when to give them hints versus making sure not to give them hints too early when they're clearly still making progress?
Sure. How do you balance not over-hinting or hinting too early?
So for me personally, a lot of it comes to the pregame. When people show up, you kind of gauge their ability level. You gauge if they've done escape rooms before, if it's their first time. And a lot of that you can tell. You can tell if they're coming for fun or if, like you, they're more of a puzzle enthusiast. And a lot of times it doesn't hurt to ask ahead of time. A lot of escape rooms that do make it where you personally ask for the clue. So that just completely eliminates that factor where, you don't get it until you ask. But as far as, say, you just feed in, it's really just knowing your audience, knowing your game, your audience, and when to give it. When, just reading people, seeing if they're struggling, if they want the help or not.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in too. I think a lot of it comes down to game masters as well, the people that actually run your games. I didn't have an appreciation when I first started doing this into how much their experience or their understanding of people and the game actually impacts the experience that players will have. If you have a really good game master, they'll understand what you're looking to get out of it. I think ultimately too, people are buying tickets for 1 hour of entertainment. So, we do have people that come in and say, hey, I don't want any hints. I really want the challenge to do this on my own or, as this team. But ultimately, we do want them to experience the entirety of our room. So there will be points where we might push teams along so that they do get to that next level, to that next room, to whatever, to get the full experience.
Sounds like you might have played a room or two where they've left you locked in and walked away.
No, I beat all 3 rooms I played.
Yeah.
My general rule is that 1 game master per room. As long as your game master's paying attention, watching you on the surveillance system, being attentive, they should be able to track your progress. If they fall asleep on the wheel, hey. But yeah, if you're going to look for an escape room, look for one that has a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 game master per room. That should help you out.
We actually have we have the cold case series. In the first 2 crime scenes, the clue system's at your fingertips, so it's your decision. Different aspect.
Yeah, I think it just takes a lot of heavy observation. We are an escape room where we give you unlimited clues. We just kind of play it out. And we recognize that it's feels great to escape a room with 0 clues. So we will try to stretch that as long as we can while recognizing how much left of the room they have. So some teams will say, like, we don't want hints. So like, if I feel like, okay, you should really get on to the next thing, I might say, do you want a hint? But otherwise, we send them a clue. And a lot of times it's kind of riddle-like, so they feel like that they're still solving something, even though it's going to lead them to the right direction.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Hi.
One thing that I haven't seen from my local escape rooms is the use of augmented reality tech in their experiences. Have any of you thought of or currently do use any AR tech in your experiences?
Let's talk about augmented reality in escape rooms.
It's out there. Not our room per se, not yet. It involves a different level of tech, but the industry's, I think, is going to evolve into that. I personally played a room where involved, VR headset, where it was a part of the puzzle solving, part of the clue finding element, and it was quite interesting. So I'm sure we'll see more of that. But personally, I like the tactile feel of the puzzles. I like to be hands-on, and so I end up building rooms and puzzles with tactile puzzles.
And that's kind of, escape rooms by nature are, moving these virtual games into the real world. I think there's a lot of potential with the augmented reality. Virtual reality is kind of just almost different than an escape room because it's kind of like going back to its roots. But yeah, I see a lot of, augmented reality and like outdoor shooter type things, stuff like that you can use in a bigger venue than your typical, smaller size indoor recreation type.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that this industry is still in its infancy. It's only been in the U.S. for several years. A lot of rooms, these are first-generation rooms, second-generation rooms. I think the beauty of escape rooms are if you can imagine it, if you can dream it, you can build it. There is no limitation as to what you can actually do. I think the trend going forwards, I think there will be rooms that will pop up that have augmented reality, virtual reality. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people do like that escape from screens. It's that 1 hour you put your phone down, you're not dealing with an iPad, you're not staring at a screen, and you get to just use your hands and deal with people in situations that you would never actually really be in. So I think there will still be that lure and appeal to it, but I'm convinced that, you're going to see a lot more rooms popping up with some augmented reality in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, going down the panel, can you tell us what your favorite escape room in the area is that isn't one of your own?
He would like everybody to tell us your favorite escape room that is not presented here.
Well, no, like, that is presented
that
here,
is
but
presented
isn't
here.
yours.
Oh.
All right.
All right, pick
Let's
favorites,
start on that
guys.
side.
Hurry up. Get the bribes out.
Let's start on that side. Michael?
Oh, really? You're gonna start down here? I have to say.
I give you a good deal. I give you a good deal.
I know.
Can we also talk?
I have to say that I haven't played that many, so I'm out of. No, I'm just kidding. Out of all fairness, and I know you're not going to want to hear this answer. Out of all fairness, each game that I've played, especially from the only games that I've played are all up here, has different aspects about them that make them exciting in different ways. Because they're all themed differently and each person's design is so different, I have to say I'm addicted to escape rooms, and I would go back and do all of their rooms again. That's the fairest answer I can give for everyone.
He's a nice guy.
Just to add on that, that's part of the reason why we interact with each other so much, just so that we can play each other's rooms, because we're fans too.
And I mean, it is kind of a cop-out to say that, as owners and designers, we do go into it differently, but we really do. Like, I've played some really bad escape rooms that were still really good in the fact that, like, okay, so this is what they did, this is what they don't do. As far as on this panel, one I can recommend is Tribology, for sure. They did get nominated. He's not going to say it, but they did get nominated for one of the 10 best escape rooms in the country, and there's a reason for that. Their Hustler game is very cool. Not going to reveal too many details. You guys can feel free to go on their website and check it out. But again, you're probably going to get, not the exact answer you want from every one of the owners, because when we walk into a space, we're like, oh, cool, they're doing this or this, and we're not. Sometimes we're not going to view it the same way that somebody who's brand new to the experience will. But
Saul loves every room he's ever played. That's a fact.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about Soul's room, the art gallery. I like it because it's creepy. I like creepy things, and it was just a lot of fun, a lot of creative puzzles and great atmosphere.
Slip the $5 bill on the table here.
Thank you.
For me, again, this is very tough. I haven't played a couple of the rooms, and for me, the rooms vary so wildly on, the quality of puzzles. I mean, everything's high quality, but, the sets, everything. I really like Amaze Escape, what they have going on there. It's really cool that it's in a real jail cell, They put you in there, and you hear they close the door behind you, and you hear that cling, 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 and it is just real as it gets. So that one was really cool to me. Really fun experience, really immersive.
Thanks, I'll pay you later.
Yeah, I'm gonna cop out like Mike. I'm gonna say, basically, I think everybody's done something unique here. Amaze Escape, they've taken the original women's prison cells in Arlington, police station, and made an escape room out of it. That's really cool and unique. Jeff did a whole pirate time machine thing that was actually family friendly. Which was unique because the idea of doing something family friendly had never crossed my mind. I'm always trying to figure out where I can hide a dead body in a room. So, I think everyone's done something really special, unique up here. And as owners, yeah, we do look at it differently. We're looking for that unique twist that they've brought to the industry, and for that reason, I think everyone up here has something to show for it.
I have a lot of favorites, but the one that kind of stands out is Michael's room in Worcester, the CCI crime investigation. He fully utilizes a small space, still accommodates up to 2 to 10 people, but it's a very unique, without giving too much of it away, you're confined. You have to work together to solve puzzles. A big part of it is the group experience. You have to work together. I love puzzles where it forces the teamwork. So his room is quite unique. It's nothing like I've played. I've played almost 30 rooms, and it's one of a kind. So I suggest it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions.
Hi. This might be kind of a tough question to ask, but over the summer, I work as a camp counselor, and one of the things I do as a counselor is make really fun activities based off of lessons from stories and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to think about how do you incorporate the mystery aspect in what you do with escape rooms? I really enjoy the mystery aspect and would like to try to find a way to incorporate that in different activities.
Sure. The question is, how do you incorporate mystery in escape rooms?
Okay, I'll take that. I guess it depends on each person's interpretation of mystery. You want the start of it is generally basing off of a storyline, and so if you have a good story that provides a mysterious experience, then you just have to take and transition that experience into a scenario where you have to solve a series of puzzles in order to put that mystery together. Mm-hmm. So it's like taking the mystery, breaking it apart for the audience members to put it back together. Mm-hmm. That's probably the easiest way to go about it.
You actually gave me an awesome idea. Obviously that camp is clearly haunted, and you could build a whole backstory about how the people who came to the camp disappeared around a certain landmark, and again, you just kind of have to get creative, and when it comes to doing mystery, less is more. So the less details that you give out about something, the better it is. Yep. And then you're going to let people kind of connect all the dots on their own. Mm-hmm. But that camp 100% haunted, I guarantee it.
Jason.
I played Saul's room when it was first opened a few months back, and what he does very well in his art heist is he builds his mystery, the story, into the puzzles. So as you play, as you progress, the whole story unravels itself. So you discover more and more about the story as you play along.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So you guys have been doing this now for a little while. What would you say is sort of the biggest pitfall that you would avoid if you had to do it all over again, or the most important lesson you learned while building your business?
Tell us about pitfalls and most important lessons that you've learned during your escape room ownership.
Wow.
So
there's so many of them.
for me, what it really came down to was knowing, I mean, this is the boring side of stuff, but getting a good contractor that knows the city, knows the permits, can get you through the process of opening, especially with something so new like this. You go to the city and you say that you want to open an escape room. First of all, they say, what is that? And then you tell them and they say, huh? They get worried, like the trapped in the room aspect, all this. So, that was one of my big things, was getting started with the city and working through the permitting process.
I think my hardest point was finding a location. I think landlords, especially in the Boston area, there's not that much inventory of space to actually rent. So when you try to explain to your landlady that you want to build a jail cell and you want to lock people up, it doesn't fly very well. So trying to find a landlord that is open to what you're trying to do and thinks that'll actually be profitable, so you'll pay your rent, I think was definitely a challenge for us.
Yeah, I literally had my landlord ask me after I gave her my whole pitch if I was starting a cult. So, no, that's, yeah.
Were you?
And
Next
as
question,
kind of
please.
retribution to that, my landlord, she probably doesn't know this because she hasn't played it, but my landlord actually became a character in the story. I wrote her into it. So, yeah. As far as when it comes to like the business side of it, I know some of you are interested more in the business side. We'll be available to talk afterwards, to get kind of like I said more into the weeds about it, about building inspections and permits and zoning and all that fun stuff that everyone's eyes are just gonna glass right over as soon as we say it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, my question is about playtesting. What do you look for when doing any sort of playtesting, and specifically, how do you handle the challenge of once someone has playtested your room, they know all the secrets, they can't really bring that fresh perspective back to it the second time they help you playtest it?
In playtesting, what elements are you looking for, and how do you deal with players who have playtested one room before and come back to playtest another?
Well, to playtest the same room.
Oh, to playtest the same room.
Same room.
Oh, okay. Playtest the same room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to have a lot of friends. You have to really focus on the playtest. It's very important. It's one of the most important parts after design. With the playtest, like I have a new room that's about to be released called The Protocol, and that game is a multi-room experience. I have a list of 30 people that are waiting to be able to beta test for us. And the enthusiasts that go out and do beta tests for us actually do come back and play the room again because they're looking to pull it apart as much as possible for their own glorification of doing it. You don't receive all of the information. They don't receive all of the information during a beta test, especially if you put them in a room with multiple people. Something's being solved by someone else at the same time in a non-linear experience, where other groups, spread off into a different area. You don't know what happened over there, so you want to come back to find out what happened. So as far as the beta test, or the play test, it's very important, and that's about all I have.
I think it's also really important to have diverse teams, different age groups, different number of people in the game to kind of test like how many people are going to be entertained by this and how many people can solve it. I know since our first, for beta testing for our first game, that took quite a while. At first, the runtime was an hour and a half, when ideally you want the runtime to be like maybe 65 minutes. So there was a lot of trying to figuring out what to do about that. And you just need that practice. Our very first beta test, we left the last lock unlocked, and and no one knew what to do. They had the key, but they just didn't assume that it was for the door because they're like, why would we have this right now?
Yeah, I'd say with beta testing, we don't actually reuse people to beta test. Once they beta test one room, that's it. There's nothing easy about what we've done, but I will say it is easy to find people to beta test. Given the people the traffic we get through to play our games, the number one question is, when's your next room going to open? And then after that, when we tell them, they say, well, can we beta test for you? So getting a pile of people to come in and beta test has always been the easiest part of this whole process for us. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, first off, thank you. My question, first one is a qualifying question. Would the panel feel comfortable answering highly technical questions, or should I keep it low tech?
High tech.
All right, great.
Keep it intense.
I run some sci-fi stuff for LARP, and we commonly use Raspberry Pi or Arduinos in our escape the room style things. So I'm looking to scale it up to something maybe I'm running multiple times a day. What do you think the reliability of that kind of tech is for running through maybe 100 times a day? I have to run people through a scenario, but is that tech going to be reliable running entire day, or do you need like a PCL, like an actual programmable logic controller? Or is basic tech like Raspberry Pi and Arduino enough?
Sure. So what kind of tech is required to have a game run on its own for 100 times per day?
Yep.
Time machine.
There is a great, it's not an escape room, but it is a similar themed experience called Bodeborg, and that's what they do is they do design their rooms to be fully automated, but as you can see, you're still not going to be able to get around having staff members and stuff like that. Specifically with escape rooms and tech, stuff breaks. It breaks a lot. It breaks every single game, and you have to be on the spot to be able to fix it every time. So that's a tough balance that a lot of escape room owners have. Is if you have a ton of tech, you're going to have a ton of circuit boards. You're going to need to have people on staff who can program on the fly. You're going to need to have backups to the backups and this and that. Whereas everything fails all the way down to like the most simple combination lock. So. Building for escape rooms is a very difficult challenge when it comes to tech because it's going to break. But that's the bottom line is it will break for sure.
I lost a safe last night.
I'll chime in a little bit too.
I lost a real safe. Broke last night.
We've used a whole bunch of different tech. We've tried Raspberry Pi, we've tried Arduino, we've had custom chipsets built for us. Arduino we found has been really reliable for us. That's not to say every piece of Arduino we've used has worked 100% of the time. There are times where stuff does fail, but it is minimal enough, and we have systems in place to work around it if and when it does fail. So we do have pieces that run Arduino that have, I want to say failed maybe twice over a 12-month period of constantly running games. Wow. And we've had other Arduino units that have a problem about once a week. But, for stuff like that, we do have, fail-safes in place to resolve or work around that if that does indeed happen.
Did that answer your question?
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, I guess going back to the testing sort of aspect of this, have you ever found it necessary to change a room like after you've opened it to the public and found out things that you didn't even know during testing or something like that?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Have you ever had to change a room after it's opened because of some aspect of it that you discovered?
Have you ever had to change aspects of a room before, during, and after playtesting?
So for us, I mean, we constantly evolve the room. If we see something that's maybe not making sense, maybe, it just didn't work as perfect, and even through 50 test groups, something pops up. You can't be afraid to change it for the next group so that it doesn't happen again or so it does make sense. So yeah, I think it's not bad to be able to evolve and, kind of change to happenings.
So these escape rooms that we built, they're our children almost. It's a evolution process. I mean, every time we walk into it, we're thinking about how we may change something, improve something, make a puzzle more solvable or less solvable. So it's constantly work in progress. If that answers your question.
Yeah, I would say changes happen. I mean, like we were talking about beta testing. Beta testing is super important, and we get a whole bunch in. But even after that, the general public, when they start coming in and tearing through our rooms, it's like, well, why wouldn't they rip that off the wall and destroy it? So, yeah, we're constantly learning things, constantly evolving the room. And unless it's been open for at least 6 months, I would say it hasn't been set in stone yet. Something's always going to be tweaked because you're always learning something new from the next group coming in.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my family helps run a nonprofit haunted house in Lakeville Haunted House, Google it. But we're always looking for new things to keep people coming. Basically, I was wondering your opinion or personal experience mashing up haunted house with escape room and having actors scare the crap out of the players as they're playing.
What is the possibility of mashing up haunted houses with escape rooms? How can we freak out players and scare them?
I think it's very feasible. I mean, when it boils down to it, all these things are just immersive experiences in which there's definitely people that aren't going to want that type of experience. Like, I don't like being scared, so I personally wouldn't go. I'm kind of a baby, but I think there's people out there that would want that, and that, immersive experience of having a real life zombie jump out at you and having, if you tie a puzzle aspect to, progressing through the game, I think that could be fun and a cool addition.
I think at the end of the day, you want to look at what your market is. If you're looking to bring in people that enjoy that scare experience, then definitely. I think a great person to chat to would be Wicked Escapes. They do have a booth in PAX. Skip is the owner. He has a background in the haunt industry. He's a haunter.
Yeah.
But he has now also opened up escape rooms. So I think he'd be a great person to chat to about that as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to ask you guys about analytics. So do you collect data about the people who are playing your rooms? What kind of data is that? And how do you use it to improve your rooms as people continue to play it?
The question's about analytics. Who collects them? What do you collect? And give us a quick overview of who comes to the games.
We ask everyone for their social security card number. We do ask questions when they purchase tickets, like how did they hear about us? And we, before the game, we like to ask them if they've done escape rooms before, which ones have they done, how many have they done, and where are they coming from, especially because, we're trying to build our community. Those are the questions that we ask, and we take note on, how many, who's escaping and who's not escaping.
Yeah, I mean, having good SEO with your website and having it all linked up to Google Analytics is really important too. Then you can see if your website is working on mobile, if it's working on what platforms, how often people are clicking, the book now and this and that. But again, we're in such a relatively new industry that you'd be surprised that we get customers that we refer to each other. We get people who just Google things to do in a specific town, and that's how they first hear about it. We have people who come through and say, oh, well, I saw on Big Bang Theory they were doing an episode with an escape room, so I looked for escape rooms. So as far as getting down deep into the analytics, just have good search engine optimization. Don't steal from other businesses in the area to try to capitalize on their clicks, because that's not going to work. Because we're too unique for that.
For us, we pretty much just collect emails. We don't get too personal, ages, genders, anything like that. Keep it pretty simple.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi there. I was wondering, how do you curb vandalism? Like someone who might destroy a room thinking they're trying to solve it. What do you do to prevent that from happening? Or what do you do once it does happen?
How do you prevent damage and destruction? And then once it happens, what do you do after that?
We can't all be handcuffed to a wall. So.
I know. Those two games aren't as destroyed as the other games are normally. Like I said, I lost a real safe last night. So as far as the preventative maintenance to it, at one moment we think we have it down. I think most of us can attest to this. And then the next moment, the weirdest thing happens, and we were proven wrong. So I never thought that I would lose a safe. I thought a safe would be a strong, durable item. And I saw the picture of it last night. The lock, the big bolts that lock the door were just jammed in and twisted. And I'm like, it's inevitable. If you're going to put a large amount of people through an experience like this, you really can't hold their hands. All you can do is give them the best heads up. We ask people not to go in our ceilings and tear up our floors and not to use too much force. You know, most escape rooms don't need too much force. That's all you really can do. That's as far as preventative goes. But you need to have doubles and triples on hand of everything. That is how we combat that.
I think a lot of it comes down to design. Like when you design a room and you start building it, like just imagine you're going to have a bunch of prepubescent chimpanzees running through it, and if you think it'll survive that, then yeah. But you know, with that said, stuff breaks all the time. You know, we do have backups of backups of backups. Keys get taken all the time. Have 20 copies. You know, and then also time yourself. How long does it take you to run from the control room down the hall to stop them from doing something if you need to stop them? So add that buffer time in. I think you'd be all set.
Thanks, guys. We're going to try to zip through the rest of the questions in the last 3 minutes. Go.
What's your favorite thing about making escape rooms?
What's your favorite thing about making escape rooms?
I still enjoy watching the players play.
Quick. Yeah, I like turning players into enthusiasts. I like when they come through and they get the same feeling that I first had when I got one, which is, where has this been my whole life? Like, where can I play more?
I love getting a reaction out of people, so being able to gauge those reactions and provide them like an exciting 1 hour unique experience, and having them come out saying, that was amazing, that was so much fun, that was my favorite thing ever. That's awesome.
I agree with Audrey on that one 100%.
For me, I really like the initial design and the research. You know, you really, when you're building a room, if you really have to immerse yourself in the history and the culture to that theme. So it's fun kind of immersing yourself and figuring out how you can then turn this into puzzles and a story for people.
Thank you for all.
I'll second with Jeff on that. I think that design process is definitely the most fun because, you know, if you, like I said, if you can imagine it, you can do it. And just sitting around throwing ideas, trying to figure out what it is that you guys actually want to do. The spaces you want to build, the sky's the limit, really. So,
thank you for answering my question, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, when you have a family-friendly room, who is better at solving them, like the younger kids or the adults? Because I know that there's some situations where adults overthink, and kids are just like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna try that. It's gonna work. You know, it's good." So.
Yeah, you're totally correct there. You know, there's actually been instances where the clue that I put up on the TV is "Listen to your daughter." And the kid will go, I told you 5 minutes ago, you know. So the adults, they really do overthink it. And kids, they're just a little more down to earth and just kind of don't take stuff as literally. They kind of, you know, they also immerse themselves in the adventure a little more. So I think they're able to get into it a little more and start putting pieces together that are meant to be put together. So kids definitely do better than adults.
Kids usually don't mind prying to stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What can you do to balance collaboration so that 1 or 2 people aren't driving the entire group and the other group members are just spectators?
How can you foster collaborations within escape room groups so that 1 or 2 people aren't doing everything?
So handcuff them and chain them to a wall.
For me, it's a lot of preparation when I give them the introduction. I've had teams where one person is taking leadership and just yelling at everyone. So I tell them, if they start being competitive or they start saying that we're never gonna communicate, I remind them it's about the fun. So talk to each other and listen to each other.
Another portion is just having a wide variety of puzzles. You know, you have puzzles that are good for this person, that are designed for different minds.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Final question.
I was wondering, so you seem to be a tight-knit group, but what happens if you have a similar idea and you don't want to look like you're copying someone else? What do you do then?
What happens when you have a similar idea and don't want to seem like you're copying someone else?
I've borrowed an idea from Michael. It's not so much of a puzzle, but I've asked him about it. I've told him about it. It's you keep an open channel.
When it boils down to it, sometimes it just happens. You know, sometimes you'll have a puzzle that's relatively mimicking, and it's just the way it goes. But for the most part, they're generally completely different the way you do it.
once it's out there, it's out there. If you're like still like working on it and you go to a game and they have the same puzzle as you, then you should probably change it up because you want to give customers a new experience.
Yep.
But once it's there, it's there.
I think a lot of it has to do with different themes as well. What's going to fit in my room probably won't fit as well in a jail-themed room and stuff like that. So,
Thank you. All right, this is the longest second ever. I'm gonna quickly let the panelists tell you new announcements they want to make, new games that they're opening, expansions, stuff like that, and then there's a cool giveaway at the end. So let's start on this side this time. Michael.
Well, as I had said already, we're getting ready for a release of a new portion of our series. This is called The Protocol. This is a multi-room experience. We're looking at the release for the 24th. We'll start bookings then. You can check it out at liveactionescapes.com.
I'm currently under construction of my second room, which is still kind of a super secret project, but I'll go out on a limb and let everybody know. Finding out a way to utilize a very small space and not make it feel small, I started doing a lot of research into gypsy caravans. So I'm trying to play off a theme like that. Everything's still up in the air as far as storyline, though.
Can I beta test?
Me too. Currently, we have the Dollhouse, and we are working on our next game, which is Escape the 90s Video Store. Yeah, absolutely.
So as for us, we actually just locked down a bigger location, so we're going to be expanding into a few new rooms, have some fun things planned. And we're actually kind of toying with the idea of having, you mentioned virtual reality, maybe even if it's just a nice expensive headset you come rent out for the hour or something like that. We're starting to toy with those ideas and see how we can get them implemented in new themes.
Yeah, we've got 2 rooms open right now, the Drunk Tank and the Hustler, but we're just wrapping up build right now on a haunted submarine called Crush Depth and a camping trip gone wrong called The Retreat. So we're hoping to wrap that up in the next couple of weeks and start beta testing in about 3-4 weeks. So if anybody wants a beta test, drop us an email, and we'll add you to the list.
We currently have one room in Arlington. It's the Escape from Death Row. It's a 6-player max room. So for the smaller groups that prefer a private session, we get a lot of bookings that way. We are in development of a second room. It'll be a heist scenario. So instead of being locked in and trying to break out, it'll be trying to break in to retrieve something. There's still an objective, of course. That should be able to accommodate anywhere between 10 to 12 players. We hope to have it available for beta testing in about 2 months or so.
Cool. All of their business cards are available in the other room on chairs, but can I get a big round of applause for all their panelists? Okay. All right, I'm going to make a big announcement. Do not peel off the stickers under your chairs. However, look under your chairs. If there are business cards and other cool stuff, you might get a free prize.